Karen ripped off Emma's wig in front of the entire class, exposing her bald head. The disabled 12-year-old couldn't escape in her wheelchair as everyone stared. Tears streamed down Emma's face while Karen laughed cruelly. Little did she know, Emma's mother watching from the doorway was a federal judge about to bring justice. Before watching full video, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. What's wrong with your hair? It looks fake, Patricia Winters said loudly, towering over Emma's wheelchair in the middle of the busy school hallway. Emma Taylor, only 12 years old, tried to wheel herself backward, but Patricia blocked her path. Students gathered around them, many already pulling out phones to record whatever was about to happen. "Please leave me alone," Emma whispered, her hands trembling as she touched the wig that covered her bald head. After chemotherapy for bone cancer took her hair and the same terrible disease took her legs, the wig was the one thing that made her feel normal again. "I'm asking you a question," Patricia insisted, her voice growing louder. As president of the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association, Patricia was used to getting her way. "That hair isn't real, is it? It breaks the school dress code about unnatural appearances." Emma looked around desperately for a teacher, but no adults were nearby. Just her new classmates, watching with wide eyes on her first day at Westfield Middle School. "My hair is none of your business," Emma said, trying to sound brave though her voice shook. "Please let me get to class." Patricia's face hardened. At 53, with her perfect blonde bob and expensive clothes, she looked out of place in the school hallway. But as a member of the school board and HOA president, she often patrolled the halls looking for rule breakers. "Don't you dare talk back to me, young lady," Patricia snapped. "I'm in charge of keeping this school looking proper. That includes making sure students don't wear disgusting fake hair." Without warning, Patricia reached out and snatched the wig from Emma's head, revealing her completely bald scalp still marked with surgical scars from her last brain scan. The hallway went silent for one terrible moment. Then the whisper started. "She's bald? What happened to her head? Those scars are gross." Emma's heart shattered as she sat exposed in front of everyone. Unlike her legs, which were hidden under her long skirt, her bald head was now visible to all. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she tried to cover her head with her hands. "Just as I thought," Patricia said with a triumphant smile, dangling the wig from her fingers like something dirty. "Fake hair is against school policy. You should have read the handbook before coming here." "Give it back," Emma begged, her voice barely audible through her tears. "Please." "Rules are rules," Patricia replied coldly. "Fake hair, fake legs. Maybe you should go to a special school instead of bringing down our standards here." The cruel words cut through Emma like a knife. 6 months ago, before cancer took so much from her, she'd been a normal girl who loved dancing and swimming. Now this woman was treating her like she didn't deserve to be at a regular school. Some students looked uncomfortable, but no one stepped forward to help. Emma was the new girl, and Patricia was a powerful adult who could make trouble for anyone who crossed her. "My mom gave me that wig," Emma said, still reaching for it as Patricia held it just out of reach. "Please give it back." "Your mother should have taught you to follow rules," Patricia said, enjoying the attention as more students gathered to watch. "This is actually a good lesson for everyone here. In life, you don't get special treatment just because you have problems." She gestured at Emma's wheelchair with disgust. "The real world isn't going to change just because you're different. Better you learn that now." Emma's tears flowed freely now, her small shoulders shaking with sobs. This was worse than any nightmare. Her first day at a new school, and she was being humiliated in the worst possible way. Then, through her tears, Emma saw something that made her heart both sink and soar at the same time. Walking down the hallway, still wearing her formal black judge's robes, was her mother. Judge Sarah Taylor had promised to come check on Emma during lunch after her morning court session. She'd wanted to make sure her daughter was settling in well on her first day back at school after months of hospital stays. She hadn't expected to find her daughter surrounded by gawking students, sobbing uncontrollably, with her wig in the hands of a smirking woman. "Emma?" Sarah called, her voice cutting through the whispers like a sword. "What's happening here?" The sea of students parted instantly, recognizing authority when they saw it. Judge Taylor was known throughout the city for her fair but tough rulings in federal court. Her presence commanded respect without her having to demand it. Patricia's smile faltered slightly, but she held her ground. "You must be Emma's mother." "I'm Patricia Winters, HOA president and school board member. I was just explaining to your daughter that fake hair violates our dress code." Sarah's eyes moved from her daughter's tear-streaked face to the wig in Patricia's hand, taking in the scene with the same careful assessment she used in her courtroom. You removed my daughter's wig? Sarah asked, her voice dangerously quiet. In front of her classmates? Rules are rules, Patricia replied, though with slightly less conviction now. The dress code clearly states. My daughter, Sarah interrupted, each word precise and measured, wears that wig because she lost her hair during cancer treatment. The same cancer that took her legs. A gasp rippled through the watching students. Many now looked at Patricia with obvious disgust. Well, Patricia faltered, finally sensing she might be in trouble. I didn't know about the cancer, but still, exceptions can't be made or... Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, Sarah continued as if Patricia hadn't spoken, my daughter has a right to reasonable accommodations for her medical condition. A wig is such an accommodation. She stepped closer to Patricia, her judge's robes adding to her impressive presence. Furthermore, what you've just done constitutes assault, harassment, and discrimination against a minor with disabilities. All of which I witnessed personally. Patricia's face paled. Now let's not overreact. I'm simply enforcing school policy as is my duty as. Give my daughter her wig back, Sarah said, extending her hand. Now. Patricia hesitated, then handed over the wig, muttering, I was just doing my job. Sarah took the wig and gently placed it back on Emma's head, arranging it carefully while whispering words of comfort. Then she turned back to Patricia. Your job does not include traumatizing children, she said. As for the HOA and school board positions you seem so proud of, I wonder if they know about your discriminatory actions against disabled minors? You can't threaten me, Patricia said, though her voice lacked its earlier confidence. I've been HOA president for 15 years. Everyone respects me here. Do they? Sarah asked, looking around at the students and the few teachers who had finally arrived. Or do they fear you? She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a folder. It's interesting you mentioned the HOA, Ms. Winters. I've been gathering evidence for the past month about your selective enforcement of HOA rules and misappropriation of HOA funds. Patricia's eyes widened. What are you talking about? Originally, I was handling this quietly, Sarah continued, but after seeing how you treat children with disabilities, I believe more direct action is warranted. She handed Patricia a court document. This is a temporary restraining order prohibiting you from approaching my daughter or making any decisions regarding her accommodations at school or in our neighborhood. You can't do this. Patricia sputtered. I didn't, Sarah replied calmly. Judge Rodriguez did, after reviewing evidence of your pattern of discriminatory behavior. I recused myself from the case to avoid conflict of interest. One of the teachers finally stepped forward. Mrs. Winters, I think you should leave the school grounds now. This isn't over, Patricia hissed, but the threat sounded hollow even to her own ears. Actually it is, Sarah replied. The Department of Justice has opened an investigation into your misuse of HOA funds and violations of the Fair Housing Act. I expect federal agents are serving search warrants at your home and office as we speak. Patricia's face went from pale to ashen. You're making this up. Sarah smiled coldly. I don't make things up, Ms. Winters. That's why I'm a federal judge. I deal in facts and evidence, which in your case, is substantial and damning. She turned to the students still watching. This is an important lesson. Not the one Ms. Winters was trying to teach, but a better one. Bullying is wrong no matter who does it. And justice will always catch up, eventually. Patricia backed away, finally understanding the severity of her situation. As she hurried toward the exit, two parents who had arrived early for a meeting blocked her path. We saw everything, one mother said angrily. My son has been afraid of you since you fined us for having a basketball hoop in our driveway. This ends today. Emergency HOA meeting tonight, another parent called out. I think it's time for new leadership. As Patricia fled the building, a weight seemed to lift from the hallway. Several students approached Emma, offering kind words and apologies for not stepping in sooner. Sarah knelt beside her daughter's wheelchair. I'm so sorry this happened, sweetheart. Do you want to go home? Emma looked around at the students who were now talking to her normally, not staring at her wheelchair or her wig. For the first time since her diagnosis, she felt like she might belong somewhere again. No, she said, wiping away her tears. I want to stay. Sarah smiled proudly. That's my brave girl. 3 months later, Emma wheeled herself up the new, properly constructed ramp at the school's main entrance. Students greeted her by name as she passed, many stopping to chat about the upcoming science fair or the book club Emma had started. Patricia Winters was gone from both the HOA and the school board. The investigation had revealed she had embezzled over $90,000 from HOA funds over the years, using the money for luxury vacations and designer clothes while claiming it was for community improvements. She now faced criminal charges and had been forced to sell her house to pay back what she had stolen. The new HOA leadership, which included Emma's mother as a legal advisor, had transformed Oakwood Estates. Accessibility improvements were made throughout the neighborhood. Cruel and unnecessary rules were abolished. The community center now hosted monthly events focused on inclusion and diversity. At school, Emma had become something of a hero. Her courage in returning to class after such humiliation had inspired other students. With the principal's support, she'd started a kindness club that promoted acceptance of all differences, visible and invisible. Emma still had difficult days when her legs hurt or when the cancer scans made her anxious. But she no longer felt alone in those struggles. She had found her voice and her place. As for her wig, she sometimes wore it and sometimes didn't. Her classmates had organized a Hats for Emma Day where everyone, including teachers, wore funny hats to show support. It became a monthly tradition that spread to other schools in the district. That spring, when Emma received an award for outstanding contribution to school culture, she invited everyone who had been in the hallway that terrible day to witness her triumph. As she gave her acceptance speech, she looked out at the audience and said words that would be painted on the school wall. Our differences don't make us weaker. They give us the chance to be stronger together. In her chambers later that week, Judge Sarah Taylor ruled on a landmark disability discrimination case. As she finished writing her opinion, she included a quote from her daughter that she had come to see as the truest definition of justice. Kindness isn't special treatment. It's the treatment everyone deserves. The case created a precedent that would help thousands of disabled children across the country. And it all began because one bully picked on the wrong child, never imagining that justice would come not just from the law, but from a community finally brave enough to stand together.